So we just gonna get ready to get started. Welcome to our latest edition of TNT. Boom! I am Pastor Joe, the great Michael LaMelle, the first.
I am the host with the most, the voice of choice, and I'm as great as the man to my left and your right, and he is out of sight, and we are Dynamite. Right here.
Dynamite.
Man, we doing it, Pastor.
We're doing it. It. Speaking of greatness, how did Sunday go, man? How did Sunday go?
This guy. So it was pretty good. It was all right, That's all I'll say about that. It was all right. Clem the Gym, evening teachers. Wow. That's a high honor, Reverend.
High praise.
I appreciate that.
Especially considering to whom you are married.
That part.
The great Dr. Extrelda Alexander.
We are grateful for everyone that sent love, that said thank you, that said congratulations. Pastor had told me a couple of times, congratulations. I'm not really apologetic about not sharing with people, but I didn't really share, and that's okay. Thankful. It was interesting. It was a great event. Too long, but it was good. Yeah, and a lot of accolades and everything. And people had amazing, provocative, interesting costumes. I've never seen Bridgerton, so don't be upset with me.
Okay, I've seen it.
So I wore what I wore. You know what I'm saying?
That was the thing?
That was the thing.
Oh, okay.
So you can imagine how grandiose the
event was. That's a good idea.
You know what I'm saying?
The Bridgerton theme.
So that Bridgerton theme was very interesting. I wore this. This is what I look like.
Oh, that's fresh though. It's not really Bridgerton, but it's nice.
But people were on me. Like, oh my God. You know what I mean? But I'm like, y'all look like that.
Yeah, but that's
so I think this was really a different take and a different taste. I had to ask her, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. That looked good.
So that was.
Is that navy blue or is that black?
Black.
Okay. All right. The ascot looked a little blue.
Yeah, maybe I'll show y'all. I don't know how to show y'all, but
he was clean. He was
fresh. What I wore.
Clean.
On it. That's what I wore to the event.
Clean.
Casket clean, I guess.
Yeah, better.
So it was interesting. Then I won an award. Yeah. I won an award. Whatever, it's just something. But I saw some people. This was the thing. I saw some people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And that was very good for me to reconnect with certain people. Are you familiar? I'll say one name, I guess maybe a few, but one name in particular, Tony Harold.
Sounds familiar. I'm not sure.
You would know him from, yes. We'll have a backroom banner conversation, but Tony Harold is a guy, a money guy. He used to promote a lot of concerts and stuff back in the day.
Okay.
Concert promoter and producer. And from the projects. And now just opened a bank, black owned.
Oh, wow.
He reopened the first freedmen's bank in the country from the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
It's reopening it and making it a chain.
Wow.
And they have a lot of black, and they were all black, and they was investors. It's a big deal.
Oh, wow. It's crazy. Yeah, that's
a huge, and we used to get money back in the day. So we're talking about, brother, I need that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I say about that.
Okay. Awesome, man. Yeah, man, I had my intentions were to come, and then I got word that my little brother had to minister, which was a rare treat because he don't really do that for real.
Yeah, to preach somewhere now.
Yeah, to preach somewhere. He preached on 35th Street in Norfolk. He was absolutely fantastic.
What church? What over there?
New Hope Church of God in Christ.
Man. Yeah. Right across, right beside the greater Saint Andrews.
Right out that way. Right that way. Yeah, man.
I'm glad I didn't know because I would have really
see, the Lord worked it out.
He did.
Yeah, but he was, he
smashed.
Of course, man. It's great. It was a men's service. And
AT.
Yeah. AT
is there a recording?
I'm certain it's on their Facebook.
Need to go get that.
But
Hey,
phenomenal. So
cousin, that was a nice picture. Thank you, Latricia. This is my cousin Latricia. She's in Suffolk. She's an avid watcher, and thank you. Yes.
yep, appreciate the love, Latricia,
Hmm.
being with us as always.
Yes, baby girl. I see you, Micah. The how did you say the elect woman of God? The uh she's always in there, and she's a studious person. She's student of the word.
She's on the screen. Well, she just left, but she
Yeah.
was
Oh,
just.
she was. Michael, you were up there, baby girl. Yep.
Yep, yep.
So if you'd like to get your picture in my series, contact me for a nominal fee.
It's
Make
worth it.
you a but I think we're gonna have an exhibit soon.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the next phase.
So I was asked about it a couple of times. Haven't really explored it further. So I told them to let me know when and to assist me in getting the prints.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but I have a connect on some prints, and if you like one, they're really big and black, and
Mm-hmm.
Joe seen a couple. We had them in one space.
Mm-hmm.
So you, ma'am, you, sir, can get your copy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's really interesting. So yeah, tonight, Pastor, we were talking about the lesson of losing. I think that was the title.
That's the title, I believe, for something like that.
Something like that.
Something along those lines.
Man, and I hit up Pastor and say, "What do you think about this?" He was like, "Excellent." And so, yeah, the lesson of losing. Can I get it on my iPad? What do you think about that title, Pastor?
2 thumbs up for me. 2 thumbs up.
Losing.
Just looking at some of the affirmations around here, and one of them I think says either I win or I learn,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's a
Ain't
good
that good?
attitude to have.
Man,
Yep.
either win or not. It's really those two things. There is and we talked about this on TNT kind of before lightly, but there is currently in our society not a very big space for losing because everyone can do whatever they like. Whatever comes to their mind, they can change it at a whim. And because they have the latitude and license for volition, the power to choose, then with that, they think winning is imperative and just a continual. But it, in fact, isn't.
It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not.
You're not always gonna win.
You're not always gonna win. And one of the worst things that ever happened was when somebody decided to just, give everybody a trophy and stop keeping score. And I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Do it, right?
But to take
this is where we are. We're booming. It's a boom. It's a dynamite.
Okay, I'm gonna say something that I'm gonna get in trouble for, but hopefully my job doesn't see this.
May send it to some people.
Whatever. So I get like anti-bullying. Like I get it.
Get it.
But
Pastor, let me do a disclaimer right there.
All right.
He does not like bullying. He actually addresses it on his own time. He doesn't stand for it and doesn't allow it in his space on his watch.
Absolutely.
I've seen that personally.
Thank you for saving me.
Yes.
I get the campaigns, I get it. But there is something to overcoming challenges and learning how to resolve conflict.
You're in my notes, Doc. You're in my notes.
Okay, well,
I didn't even know. Be in that. He hasn't seen my notes.
No,
I don't know what he's going to say, so please continue.
I kind of, in the backroom banter, I liken bullying sometimes to foodborne illnesses. In that, in our day, not that we're that old, but in our day, it just wasn't a lot of allergies to food because you ate everything. Whatever your parents bought you, that's what you ate, whether you liked it or not. And so your body develops the antibodies necessary to keep you alive. And I think bullying is kind of similar in that you have to either, when you take bullying out of when you like legislate it, all it does is empower real bullies. Because they don't have anybody that has the antibodies or the muscle memory to fight against them. And then when they get in the real world, there's nothing that's going to stop them from doing their thing.
That's good, man. JLW says sometimes you got to lose to win again. It's part of a song.
Yes, sir. Right. It's a great song.
Line too. Yes. Sometimes you got to lose to win again.
Yep.
Deaconess Scott says you are taught, learn, and acquire more character by losing than winning.
Exactly.
Great statement. Um, and something about losing. If you were to lose, I'm just a believer that you would have more appreciation for winning
Yep. Yep.
because you've experienced the
Yeah.
loss.
Exactly.
If you win continually and then lose, it builds some sort of character. If you don't implode or overcome by the grief of that, you are able to learn from it and get a lesson, like glean from the loss and say, how did I lose? What can I do to be better? It will in fact build your character and um your tenacity.
Yep.
What do you think?
I totally agree. Big sports fan, and just kind of thinking of my favorite basketball player, Michael Jordan, of course. He didn't come into the league just winning championships. Had to learn how to win, and you get those lessons by losing, by getting
Correct.
beat time and time and time again. And then once you understand what it takes to win, you're going to hold on to it a little bit longer,
Correct.
with a
Correct.
little bit more, like you said, tenacity. You never want to feel that again.
You never want to have that. And he was a perpetual winner, if I may use that term,
Mhm.
and then still lost one or two.
Right.
In terms of the games, like the championship games,
Right.
like the playoffs.
Right.
Because you can't win every time.
It's not possible. It's not possible. Nope.
So I'd like to insert here that in terms of salvation, there's a win for eternal win.
Absolutely.
Yep. Isn't that a good just transition right in there?
Right. Yeah.
But here, carnally, in our flesh, you're not going to win every time.
Yeah, we don't get to have that win until we are transformed from mortal into immortality.
That's the win. That's the ultimate.
Right. That's
MVP championship.
exactly.
the flag kind of thing.
Yep. But then everything else is, I think, our lessons to help us. Hopefully, not hopefully, but help us as we're on our way to that place.
If we're able to receive the lesson or change our perspective to understand that it is in fact a lesson.
Yep.
I did a Lamellism a while back saying that every L, we take L's not for losing or losses. Our L's are for learnings.
Yeah.
And we learn from them. So it's a matter of perspective. Every situation, what can I glean from this? How did I contribute to it? How did I not contribute enough to it? And there's a lesson in every moment of our lives. Deaconess Scott said, resilience is no longer taught.
Mm-hmm.
Very true also. Resilience is no longer taught. We need to make sure that we are in the building of ourselves as better people, continue to, in our humility, have resilience. I think it's something in humility that helps us with something in patience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To help us with temperance and long suffering and those other things.
Right.
You can't forsake these to have that.
Yep. We need them. I mean, we need them, in society on a large scale.
Yes.
Instant gratification is something, that is much more celebrated than the idea of having to kind of go through some stuff.
Yes.
Mostly I know I'm a third grade teacher, and there are times when I get on my students' nerves because they'll bemoan to me, Mr. Williams, this is hard. I can't believe you gave us this hard work. And I said, why do you think school is supposed to be easy? Hard is good for you. Get through it.
It's true.
It's not always supposed to be easy. I'm supposed to challenge you so that you can now think your way through this particular situation. You're not supposed to come here for a babysitting service.
It's true.
And I don't know why your teachers before told you that hard is an anathema in school. No, it's supposed to be hard sometimes.
I told my mother, I had a conversation with my mother today, and we were talking about trust and the difficulty of trust after hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, the difficulty is warranted and necessary.
Mm-hmm.
We were discussing can trust to be immediate, or is it a process?
Mhm.
And I said it's somewhat both, but it's absolutely immediate because it is a choice. I
Yep.
can choose to be transparent or vulnerable to trust you,
Right.
but that requires faith. I cannot control you,
Nope.
and I can hope you do what you say,
Right.
but I'm going to trust you. That requires faith.
Yep.
What I don't know, I can't control it. I can't do any of those things.
It's a perfect segue to the text.
The lesson of losing.
Yep. Perfect.
And the harder it is, the more powerful you can glean from it. The more power, the more, because, and I likened it in the conversation to exercise. You go and walk every day, you do weights, you get in the pool. The more the resistance, good God Almighty,
Yep.
the more the more muscle mass you will build
Exactly.
because of resistance and repetition.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It builds resiliency, like it says.
That's a good alliteration. That might be resistance, right? Oh, that's a good. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to run that back. Yeah.
Repetition. Yep.
And the resilience.
Yep.
That's the 3 points.
Yep.
Man, that's real good. That's really, really good.
Really good, sir.
Man,
As always.
as always. So suffrage was one of the words that came up
Mm.
in my in my notes. I like to read a little bit of. Oh, well, let me give you an example of a definition of it biblically. Suffrage, because it means the right to vote
Right.
in
Ireland.
regular
Right.
world like secularism.
Mm-hmm.
Biblically, it is a prayer for help. Suffrage, and it comes from the Latin word suffragium, which means support. So your petition for support,
Okay.
or in a position or posture of needing support.
Right.
Makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Makes perfect
Suffrage.
sense. Right.
So I want to give that before we get into some of this word. Job. I didn't have, Pastor, a specific verse, as you may well, because the whole thing of Job is just like
Right.
you can kind of
Yeah. I mean,
right.
the,
It's
the
just,
entire
you know what I mean?
book. Yep.
I want to say some of it. One thing that's very specific that I think is important is, in particular with this lesson, is that Job um, kept his posture even when he changed his position.
Mm.
He kept his posture. I know you understand
Totally.
absolutely what I'm saying.
Totally get it.
So we're going to unpack that a little bit. He changed his position and status, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
his position in the community, his position of working in this area to worshiping in this manner and area.
Mm-hmm.
So he kept his posture even while changing his position. His position continued to change. Do you agree with that, or did?
Completely agree. I mean, what else? What else can you say about him? The whole book is really about process. You know, we're
These
just
alliterations are
we're,
just sprinkled in there. God, thank you, God,
right.
for that.
And man, we can't take credit for it.
Cannot.
And I mean, where you gonna start?
So I was reading different versions. Man, they're so good. The Message, the NIV, God's Word version. I'm just gonna go with KJV.
Cool.
Straight out of it. We're gonna skip around. I'm starting at Job 1 and walk with us. I know the story is kind of familiar, but we'll just give some backstory for context. And we can expound ourselves, but I want to say some specific verses.
Right. Good.
There was a man in the land of Uz. This is Job 1:1. In the land of Uz, whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, position.
Yep.
And posture.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. Eschewed evil. He didn't like it. It was a bad taste in his mouth.
Right. Pushed it away from
And there was born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He was almost Pastor Joe. He is Joe and Job. You see that? And his substance, his position status, also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen.
Hmm.
So that means is on one yoke is two usually. They're yoked together. See how
Right.
that works?
That's what the yoke is for.
And 500 she asses and a very great, household. So that, this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. Position. And his sons, so that I had to give that for context. You can't appreciate the win if you never lost.
Yeah. Yep.
We're starting with a person who started with winning. He didn't really
winning.
matriculate to winning.
Right.
We don't have any backstory than that. He was born, and this is what he had.
Right.
We don't see any reference or record of losing prior to that.
Right. Great man.
The greatest of all the men of the East at this time. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone his day, and sent and called for their three sisters to eat and drink with them. So they went from house to house and partied and enjoyed what God had given them. That's all. That's what I want you to see.
Mm-hmm.
They enjoyed their position, their father's position, which consequently, by default, gave them their own positions.
Yeah.
And so they enjoyed it. They had feasts. And it was so when the days of their feasting were gone about that Job sent and sanctified them. Posture. And rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. Posture. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. He interceded for his seed and his house. I need y'all to get this posture, man. Position and posture.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing when all is well? Are you still worshiping? Are you still in a posture of worship? Are you still positioning yourself while you're in this position of status of great? Are you positioning yourself in a posture of prayer? Mm-hmm. Are you, ma'am? Are you, sir?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
I see it. Clear as a bell. Ping.
Are you doing it? Hey, that's me mom today. My mom's about to be 80.
Oh, wow. The queen.
See them pictures?
About to be an octogenarian.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
So, Job, he did it continually. Now, we know this part. I'm going to skip through this. You can do a summation too. That the enemy addressed God and said, hey, they had an exchange, and God was actually, the sons of God were presenting themselves before the Creator, and Satan was with them. He said, hey, you've been doing your thing. What you've been up to? I've been doing my job, to and fro, seeking, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. In the earth, God is like, yo, for real. There's one dude, MVP, like Jordan, like what he was saying. He's a winner.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, for real. He ain't played against my team, my squad. You've been setting up the games, so it's a win every time.
Right. He has
everything. Of course, he's gonna.
Right. He has everything he could possibly want. He's rich. He's got kids. He got a wife. He does have a relationship with the Almighty. But I mean, he's a good.
He's doing everything perfect.
Yep.
But it's because of you.
Right.
It's not him. You did it. You rigged it. Right. Loaded dice.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
Perfect sense.
So that's from verse 6 to like verse 8, 9, right? 12. Yeah, verse 12. So in verse 12 says, the Lord said unto Satan, Shaitan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. You can't take his life because you didn't give it. But everything else. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. That's verse 12. Now here we are. Job's integrity in adversity. That's what this Bible translation says as a caption for the next section. But I want you to be very conscious, like I asked the question, what is your posture when things don't look good? When your position changes, how is your posture? You, ma'am. You, sir, you can write it. You don't have to, because that it can be a little tricky,
Right.
because it's
Right.
personal now.
Yep.
Put yourself in Job's shoes. There was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. This is what they've been doing. I gave you the backstory. They've been doing it because they enjoyed their father's wealth and their own respective wealth.
Right.
They were eating and drinking at the oldest brother's house, and there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabians fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, I need you to really see this. I know you've heard this story over and over, but I need you to get it with what we're talking about today.
I mean, it's in the text.
I'm here to tell Joe, listen, everybody, they were over there, and we were working out here. Everybody was working. The animals were working, and the Sabians came and killed all the animals
Mm-hmm. All the servants.
and everybody that was working.
Yep.
I'm the onlyest one that got away from this section.
The onlyest one.
I'm the only one. Because it's right here.
Mm-hmm. That's what it says.
I'm the only one that escaped alone to tell thee. Verse 16 says, while he was yet,
he's talking.
I'm Joe. And said, this what happened. And I finished. And the other guy, while I'm talking, he's already there because it's while he's yet speaking.
Right.
Which kind of denotes or connotes that he interrupted.
Right. They got there at the same time.
And he pulls up and says, there came another and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven and hath burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So Job had a lot of properties, a lot of space and wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and different sections start coming at the same time in the self same hour. And immediately, as we say, suddenly, to give this news. It says in that was verse 16. Verse 17 starts the same way. I just need y'all to catch it.
Wow.
While he was yet speaking, so there's one was yet speaking, the next one was yet speaking, another one came, another, and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone, tell thee. Verse 18 starts the exact same way. Is it there, Reverend?
While he was yet speaking,
there came also another and said, thy sons and thy daughters. Now, all this stuff is gone in one motion. I got my family, though. Got my kids, my wife. While he was yet speaking, verse 18, there came also another and said, thy sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. I told you that was early in the story. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house. And it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. A moment of silence for Job's languish and lamenting. His adversity was great, Reverend. Verse 20, then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head, posture, and position, and fell down upon the ground and worshiped. How many of you are worshiping in your worst scenario? Can you worship in your worst case scenario? Anybody?
I don't even know that. I don't know who can even answer that, because I think that, like, you probably have some assumptions as to what you would do.
True.
Right? But I can almost guarantee you that most of us listening, if we had Job, if we had what Job had.
Mm-hmm.
Worshiping might have been the furthest thing from my mind after verse 15.
But
Don't,
we down at 19, right?
that's what I'm
18,
saying. I mean, that 15 is bad. Let's just deal with 15.
Okay.
That's bad enough.
15. The Sabians fell upon them and took them away.
Right.
Yea, have slain all the servants with the edge of the sword.
Right. So all your workers dead.
And
took all your stuff. That's I mean, some of y'all might be super saved and start worshiping right after that. That's gonna be a tough. That's tough. Off top.
And mind you, in the space of that moment, you have the latitude to say, get these people and go get my
right. Still right. Let's okay. So okay, all right, right. Okay. We ain't worshiping right.
Right.
Now. We're gonna get our stuff.
Cut him off while he's standing or starting to get dressed to go while you keep talking, man.
Nah, Joe. Something else happened, bro. Can't get them.
While he was yet speaking.
Man. Yeah, I mean, you know.
I would say this, Pastor. What do you think of this? We don't have an idea or concept of the worst because we're yet here.
Right, right.
But we do have reference of worst scenarios that God brought us through.
Facts.
That we're here now.
Facts.
And you can apply it to the past in a way to see what I would have done differently, perhaps, in what has already happened. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And in that regard, how do you? I want to say this. I really haven't said this story publicly, but my cousin Guy Patrick was killed by a friend in front of his daughter.
Wow.
The guy put the weapon, the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger.
Oh my God.
Two friends. So and literally like friends like close like me and you.
Right. Wow.
At the time, we don't know why, but it had to be something very pretty ugly for that. My cousin Guy who was killed, murdered, his daughter was present.
My God.
And watch this. That's a bad situation,
bro.
He has a brother, Andy Jr. He got two sisters, Wanda and Donna. We go down there for the funeral. The guy that did it is apprehended. He's incarcerated. We're down there to see what it's all about and bury my cousin. The cousins are getting together because his bond was X amount. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm saying, hey, we can't do this.
Right.
Because I want to be a part of what you're doing.
Right.
My brother's on right now. My dad is on there. I'm saying, hey, I don't even know if my dad knows this.
Right.
Can't do this because one, we just came from out of town. And so it's obvious that we
right.
Right. That's a bad situation. That's the worst. How do you not do that? It's a difficult thing, brother.
It's difficult.
Do you have a worse situation that you can say that you know what I mean?
No, that's about as bad as it gets. And then I was going to say, you know, what complicates this narrative for Job for me is that, again, he doesn't have himself as a reference. Like we have him as a reference.
You say that frequently. Like these people that's in here,
right?
They don't have themselves.
They didn't go to Sunday school, so it's like they're real life.
They don't have themselves as that.
Yeah, I liken it to. I read a lot and doing a lot just of history. I liken it to just what our ancestors went through kind of in American shadow slavery. Again, didn't have anybody to, give them the stories. And I mean, as bad as slavery was in your imagination, it's 10 times worse, like maybe 100 times worse.
True.
And some of the stuff that these people literally lived through, they had to see, they witnessed, and even post-slavery, particularly in the Jim Crow era. I mean, some of these stories are just, they blow my mind anytime I hear them or read them, right? And the faith that brought us here. As James Weldon Johnson
Right, right.
writes in that song,
Yeah.
out of our silent tears, there's a faith, my God, getting happy almost,
Yeah, man,
that
go
is
ahead.
almost, it's unfathomable to have dealt with this stuff that they had to deal with and still hold that level of faith and trust in the Almighty to bring us to where we are now, to kind of understand that my call might be the sacrifice, but my kids, it blows me away.
Yeah.
And so Job's story is very kind of foundational
Yes.
to that level of faith and trust in God.
It so is. I often reference my parents coming from two different worlds, but similar with my dad, who can attest to this. He's on tonight. He just asked, "Can God trust you?" I would beg to say yes. I can't always trust myself, but I'm so adamant about my posture and position, what we're discussing tonight,
Right.
that it transcends my feelings about a thing.
Yeah.
And people who know me can attest to that.
Yeah,
I don't care how I feel about it, which consequently most times make me not care about how you feel about it. Because if the truth is what it is, and God has given instruction that's be that.
There it is.
So yes, I would like to say yes, in that. But my parents, my dad, even since he's here, we give him as an example, went through some things, not telling all of his business, but his past. He's pretty open about a lot of things.
Mhm.
But he was at one point, I think about 14, and tied to the back of a car and drugged by two white boys.
Wow.
That's a harrowing
Bro.
experience. He shared that, when I was younger. I often think about that, and that's one that could be a worst situation.
Yeah, that's one of those.
There's not one time that he taught us hate for white folk. Right. The wonderful people, we don't hate them, but we were very aware of their potential.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
You see what I'm saying? You can very easily say, "Listen, do something."
Yeah.
But and he has his own kind of things. He's still dealing with things now.
Right.
Things he encountered in the military, racial relation things.
Right.
My mother, the same way. You mentioned slavery and chattel slavery, who grew up with her father being listed as a slave, a sharecropper, which was a degree of that, and working 80 years old. This woman right here, 80. But as a child working 6 months, going to school 6 months in a field picking cotton. That is tangible, personal reference that we can see right now today.
Right.
But not teaching hate, having undergone some traumatic expressions of it.
Yeah.
So I can attest to the posture in a tangible way for me, having examples of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
of maintaining a certain posture in adversity.
Yep. We definitely have some examples to follow, and I'm certain all of us have, some levels of our own personal stories, narratives that we can tell. But the reality is that when you're in it, it's just sometimes it's just hard to see your way out of it.
It is very true. Elder Austin said we can't comprehend the worst. That's what I was saying earlier. You can't even really, because it hasn't really happened until it happens. Then another thing has a potential to happen.
Yep.
So Brother Job said he worshiped in his. This is the first thing he did. Rent his mantle, shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshiped. Upon hearing all of this news, and said these words: "Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this is verse 22, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. I've always said you absolutely can question God.
Absolutely.
What I also say is, to what end? What is the wisdom of it?
Right.
He's not going to tell you exactly how he hung the sun in the firmament. What you need to know is that he did it, and he told you that he did it. He asked him, "Were you even there?" He asked Job. We're going to matriculate to that, but
that's you. If you ever haven't read the book of Job, don't just stop at chapter 1.
Please,
you got to read
please,
it.
sir.
It's so profound.
All of it.
Yeah. So almost like 40 chapters of really, it's really it's heavily theological
Mhm.
in nature.
But
Really,
tangible and
yeah.
practical for the natural, total, practical man.
Yep, want to say the same. That's what I was going to say. So he
Yep.
just finished my sentence, which is exactly but all that practical life applications. But uh, you, I say all the time, if you don't ask the person who knows all the answers, then you're kind of wasting your time of being connected to God's infinite knowledge. But at the
Mm,
same time, there still has to be this kind of reverence that
correct.
He is right because He's final, because He's sovereign. So just be
Absolute.
prepared for whatever the answer is.
And that is also one of Pastor Joe's words, a continuum. That is the continuum.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Elder Howard Lamel said, obviously God could trust Job. Obviously, that's really good,
That's
Pastor.
whole chapter one. That's the setup. He says,
that
okay,
is.
well, you check out this guy.
Right. And Ashley, sis says she's gonna be reading it again tonight.
You gotta read it. Gotta read it.
Let's
It's
go
great.
with it.
It's
Let's
great.
go with it. So yeah, Job never even foolishly questioned God. I want to get to this right here.
Yep.
There's a verse that says, to live is Christ, Pastor,
Mm-hmm.
and to die what?
It's gain.
To live is Christ and to die is gain. I'm thinking, just and if I may take the liberty, that Job felt like he died.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all of his breath was gone.
Oh yeah.
And the breath he had left, he used to worship God. That's even powerful right there, because it just snatched his heart out of his chest. What do you think about that? Can you exegete that verse? People question it a lot of times. A little bit of backstory on that verse: to live is Christ and to die is gain. I didn't put the actual.
Well, I think I mean I feel like it's kind of simple in terms of death. Again, it's a passageway into eternity with God. And so what Paul is saying is that, to die, I actually get to gain more than I ever could here.
Indeed.
And I think the maybe confusing part is to excuse me, to live as Christ. But I think that's the point, that we're supposed to live the way that he did, with the same mind, with the same mentality, understanding that if we submit ourselves to the will of the Father as Christ did, that even if we die, even when we die, it's not the end, it's a promotion. And we
I like
say
that.
we say it a lot of times, in the funeral, paraphernalia when somebody passes away. But that's what it is. It's a promotion. And
That's the scripture I just dropped in there, Philippians 1:21.
Yeah.
Where that is to for me, it says, for me to live is Christ and to die is gain.
Right. It can be discussed that the purest form of worship comes from pain.
That can be discussed as that. Yes, I would say that is a good point. You would have to think or conclude that Job was already a great worshiper or a steadfast worshiper.
Right. Right.
Because he went to what was familiar and comfortable in adversity.
Right.
Do you agree to that?
First thing I would say, what comes out your mouth first, we pay close attention to that, because that's pretty where your heart is.
Yeah, man.
And when it seemed like it couldn't get any worse, like you said, he found his self worshiping, and that's profound,
isn't it?
That's profound.
That means he already had a reference. He already had a system and an ethic for it, a work ethic, because he had a worship ethic.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, a worship ethic.
Ruth says, was there really a Job? Yes. Here's why. Because there's a you and a Joe and a me. My dad and I were talking about this earlier, about the practical, this is a summation, we can use these words, but how practical scriptures are, because every story, some people read it as a novel, the Bible. Some people read it as absolute literal. Some people read it as, different things, but all of it is for a lesson of learning, all of it. So in that regard, yes. When you say it was the man, an actual tangible person, I have no idea. The Bible says it, so I'm going to go with that. However, eclipsing that is the lesson of it, which we're discussing tonight. What say you?
Yeah. I I try to read or have some word read to me every single day,
Mm-hmm.
and for like the last couple of months, God has me planted in these very strange books. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of came through the Kings, and not too long ago read First and Second Chronicles. I'm reading Ezra right now,
Mm.
and it's so interesting to me when people say like stuff like the Bible isn't real or it's a made up book or whatever. Um, you should take some time if you ever get a chance, and I promise you, this is not going to excite you at all. But spend some time in First Chronicles and Second Chronicles, reading about
That is,
the
well, it's
dates
exciting
and
because
the
I like that.
times
I
and
like
the
it.
details of the count of the people,
I like it.
and it's like, why did anybody do all this? Because it's a chronicle, right? And there's these senses and there's these names and there's these it's so much detail that it's like, who would spend time trying to make this up? Like, and try to pass it off as truth, right?
Right.
Like Star Wars, nobody thinks Star Wars is real. We understand going in it's fiction, right? But this stuff is like, boom. And so when you kind of get into the book of Job again, there's these specifics, these details that lend to the credibility that this book isn't just an allegory, but that this is a real life lesson from a very specific person that lived in the East. That this thing that happened to him was well known in that particular part of the world. But again, you can decide. I mean, if you don't think that there was a Job, nothing I'm gonna say to you tonight is going to convince you that there was.
Right.
You can read the book, and if you think that is made up, that's probably what you're going to take away from. But you can't take away the reality of what the lesson is communicating to us.
That's what I
And
was
that's
trying to
where, of
say.
course, where we lean into what we read.
Hmm. I also charge you to listen to the late Daryl Coley's Second Chronicles. If you never heard that, while you can listen to it while you're reading that.
Yeah.
It's a good, phenomenal
Classic.
Second Chronicles. I've never heard anyone doing a record about scripture like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And all his Jones had, he was a wonderful writer of that. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, Second Chronicles. In our conversations about the nature of the earth and biblical cosmology, we've often had the question of why does it matter? And I resolve with a question in return, or I try to answer, is the Bible true? If it is, then this matters because it's biblically correct.
Yep. I'm in a battle, of course, at all times. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I was thinking about it when I was making the point, and I think you would have been laughing at me because it was a side point that I was talking about in a message that I was preaching the other day, and I was kind of going through the creation narrative and pointing out the reality that, according to the Bible, plants came on day 3, but you were taught in science the process of photosynthesis, that plants get their energy from the sun. Well, what energy were they getting from something that was created till the next day? And this is on purpose. See, you got to just deal with the reality that whoever wrote this could have just been an idiot. Didn't know nothing about nothing, except for this might have been the single smartest human that ever lived outside of Jesus that wrote it. But he put these things in a very specific order.
True.
And could have did it the other way, the way that they're trying to say it is now. And I think that it kind of makes us, it's challenging some things.
Right. Latricia is saying this session is very informative. I'm learning a lot about Job. Well, good, Cuzzo. That's the point that we always hope to achieve for TNT. Absolutely.
Ruth says she thinks it's a lesson, not a real person. All right. Well, great lesson.
And tonight, the title is The Lesson of Losing. So that's good.
There it is.
That's
we're right in sync.
Yep. So my next point in here was really interesting. Pastor, if you would, just read that.
All right. So now what?
That's the whole point. All these things happen. You have a position, the worst happens. So now what?
Mm,
That statement would cause offense if you're in the middle of your feelings.
absolutely.
Let's examine the truth of it though. You're at a crossroads. All these people killed your family and your stuff. There's some choices to be made right now. Am I going to do this or that? So without saying it, you've asking yourself, so now
So
what?
now what? Yeah. Yep.
If I come to you and say it out loud, why is that offensive?
Right. You don't have empathy, which we
We
talked about.
talked about that
Right.
the other
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
No, I don't have it. I have compassion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to back out of the thing and save you from jumping off a cliff.
Right. Right. Right.
Let's walk this thing.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't even say that. He said, so now what? And said it in a way of stop crying.
Shut it down.
Okay. She lost her husband and she lost her.
Her son.
Hey, kill that noise.
Yep.
So now what? This is what I wrote. This is I guess one of my newest Lamellisms. Feelings dictate reaction. Wisdom dictates response.
It's good.
You like that?
Yeah, you need to put that down. It's good.
Feelings dictate reaction. Wisdom dictates response. We know in Proverbs 4 and 7, we've been saying this over and over. Wisdom is the principal. I mean, 4 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom.
Yep.
And all you're getting, get understanding.
Yep.
Feelings dictate reaction. Let us all be mindful to learn how to be better responders instead of better reactors.
Yep.
Basic physics. Moby can attest to this. My brother, he's on here. A reaction. React, right?
Equal and opposite reaction. Yep. Yep.
The beauty of this is that because we have volition, we do not have to match evil with evil, return railing for railing, or tit for tat.
Right.
We have cognitive reasoning, which we should implement, that makes us say, hey, I'm not going to do you how you done me.
Right. Yep. I think that feelings dictate reaction. So if you're in that situation, a situation of something similar, right? And if your reaction is to take off all your clothes, shave your head, run around hollering, screaming, go buy every bottle you can in the liquor store, beat your car up, choke your dog, nobody's gonna be mad at you because there probably needs to be some level of emotional release from having to deal with all of that, right?
Right.
But the reality is, so then after you do all of that, what? So now what?
So now what?
You can't. There's nothing wrong with having a reaction, but you can't live there.
I say it all the time.
You got to come out of the reactive space and get into wisdom.
This is true.
So that you understand then, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, you can't let your thoughts and emotions be apprehended by the situation. So now you're under arrest by your emotions and under duress your emotions.
Right.
They have you confined and constrained, and you're incapacitated to a point where you cannot function in your purpose. And it all stems from emotional.
Yep.
From your feelings.
Yep.
So I'm just charging you with that. So now what?
Yep. Exactly.
You have to ask yourself. I can't do that part.
Right.
I would prefer that everyone ask themselves, so I don't have to. But I don't mind being the one to have to do it.
Right. I love it.
That's really true?
No, it's good.
Because our full-time job should be self-control and self-awareness. Right? Mind your business. I mean, let me get that resolve right there. So our example for tonight is Job, and the resolve is this verse right here, or the solution is 1 Thessalonians 4 and 11. Pastor, to be fastly becoming, I think, my favorite verse in the whole of the text.
All right, love it. Talk to us.
And that ye study to be quiet. and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands as we commanded you.
It's good.
Verse 12, that ye may walk honestly toward them that are without, and that ye may have lack of nothing.
It's good.
Job, all the stuff can be returned to you if you study to be quiet. He did not go crazy
Right.
and go all out and cussing folk out and study to be quiet. Do your own business. He turned inward.
Mm-hmm.
His outward was to the Creator, but it was inward that he turned. And that's really, man,
It's powerful.
it's fascinating to me
Yep.
that they able to do this.
Yep.
And absolutely, God could trust Job. What happened to Job hasn't happened to you yet. Yeah. Yet.
Yeah.
It's about that.
Yeah. and you know, prayerfully, hopefully it never does. I think that you know, context, obviously, I think all of us have had, you know, seasons of losing, seasons of loss, seasons where it felt like God was mad at us.
Yes. Yes.
And because we have, you know, Job's example, a lot of times we kind of know what to do from it. The question that Aunt Ruth raised is losing an illusion? And I think the idea of perspective is a interesting thing. But in this story, the cattle was gone.
Right.
The house was burnt, was torn down. The fire from God took all the way to other animals. He really lost all those things. So it wasn't a figment of his imagination. It wasn't an illusion. But you always have this beautiful gift that we kind of talk about of perspective. And what is your perspective when you have lost? When something has been taken away from you?
What is it, man?
Excuse me. That's the challenge, I think. You know, you can't really control the things that happen to you. You just control your response.
We say that all the time. You can't. You cannot. And you would be mindful to control you. That's the thing. You can't control or change others. You change how you engage others.
Yeah.
That's wisdom, which consequently, again, is back on you. All the fingers point back to you. That you're pointing out, it still comes back to you. How did you contribute in the situation? How did you not contribute to the situation? Were you able to control yourself, your tongue, your thoughts? Self. It's really that. I mean, you need to put all that's the exercise. The resistance is in that weight, if you will. All right.
Self.
Self. You good, Reverend? All right.
I think I am.
And there was a day. I might have one of them things for you. Let me see. The can that's yellow.
Sorry about that. My people's.
The can that's yellow.
Human. Lose my throat. Lose my voice. I'll be all right. I do a lot of talking. Thank you, sir. Maybe just need a little something to drink.
All right.
Push through real quick.
So it's live. This is what we're doing. You know, it happens. We're live.
Yeah, y'all forget. Look.
Going just like that.
Ain't like that.
All right. When things are not going well, do you become controlling and or manipulative? So things are out of control all around you. Do you meet it, like we say, return with it, because you have the license to do that or not, the choice to say, I'm going to be bigger than that. It was loud, a boom, somebody shooting. I'm going to shoot more bullets. I'm going to be bigger than that.
Right.
That is controlling and manipulative, or lack of self-control, trying to control the situation instead of yielding and allowing God the space to be God.
Yeah.
And turning your focus to him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And it's definitely a personal life lesson and challenge that I think I'm walking right now.
Really?
That, you know, I think I think as men in general, we like to have some semblance of control over things. Well, maybe that could just be people in general. I'm gonna just speak from a male perspective. Um, and when you don't have control, you kind of seek to figure out, well, how did I lose control?
Yeah.
Or what do I do so that when I'm faced with this challenge the next time, I maintain control or whatever. And I can tell you from a personal standpoint, that one thing God has just been trying to tell me is like, man, you just gotta trust me. Trust me. And it sounds easy.
Right.
And it is until you really have to trust.
Till you really got to do it, man.
When you have to release something and you can't put your hands on it. That's real. Like that's the challenge. So I know my challenge has been accepted. Yeah.
Man, I'm getting different scriptures. I'm putting stuff on the phone and on this so we can go right through it. But that's really good, transparent moment.
Yep.
So yeah, controlling and manipulative. How much energy do you give to things? Quote things. How much energy do you give to it? Job's accumulated assets were gifts from the Creator.
Yep.
Cattle on 1,000 hills. All the things that we say, the cliche things, but they were essentially gifts.
Right.
Giving this is part of my notes. Giving a gift, quote, parenthetically, cheerfully, is a beautiful gesture. And it is, giving it cheerfully.
Right.
When it is given, it is no longer yours. It matters not what is done with it. You see that? The receiver can do with the gift whatever they please. It's theirs.
Yeah.
The Creator, confronted from the enemy, says, hey, you can do anything you want. And he was like, well, he got all that stuff from you.
From you, right.
The giver says, I don't care nothing about them things. Do it. I gave it to him.
Right.
Don't take his life.
Yep. Leave him alone.
You can do anything you want.
Yep. Yep.
I got my truck from Stan. We did a whole TNT about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't all about that, but we were giving and how I got that gift. I got it, and I wasn't anticipating it, and God did it, and it was amazing. He says to me, when he gives me the keys, I don't want it back.
Wow. God
told me to give it to you, and I don't want anything for it. You can sell it. This is literally his words. You can sell it tomorrow. I don't care. I'm doing what God told me to do.
Right.
And I'm giving it to you.
Right.
I was floored.
Exactly.
He reiterated, I don't want to talk about it tomorrow. And the only reason we're going to get together is for the title.
Right.
But here are the keys. Before the title, here it is.
Right.
Do whatever you want. He was adamant about it. I'd never heard anything like that.
Yeah. I'd be floored too.
I just want to use personal, tangible examples. Right? My dad just lost, I gave him some gloves recently. We've been working. I gave him a pair of my gloves, nice gloves. They were better than mine.
Right.
I lost one of mine. He still had his. We were doing some work, and he lost one of the gloves. They were lost, the ones that I had given him.
Right.
Already special because the giver.
Right.
And we've been mending. You all know, we've been talking about it, preparing our relationship, spending a lot of time together.
Right.
So it's even more personal, more
right.
tangible. Well, he loses it. And it's been a day or so. And then it comes back. Initially, it was only thing that we could talk about. Where's the glove? We're looking.
Right.
I'm easy with it. You know me, I'm like,
Right.
I get you some more gloves.
Yeah.
I would get it and then hand it to you, and then I give it to you.
Right.
No, it's not the point.
Yeah.
We have these gloves,
Right.
right? And they really good gloves,
Right.
and they came from you. Got it.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, this is the lesson. And my dad, I hope this is okay for you. We've been dealing with things like hoarding
Right.
and cleaning things out, like
Mhm.
being released, and God is freeing us from that.
Right.
The gloves are actually a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. Can you see where I'm
I'm
going
with
with
you,
it?
man.
With
I'm on
this?
it.
And although they were precious for the sentiment, they
Mhm.
are still relegated to being things.
Right.
Why? Because you still have the giver.
Mm. Yeah, and you still have, um, you still have the thought, the intent, of what the person wanted to give to you.
Y'all got to see that,
The
man.
thing is a representation of it, but the thing isn't the thing.
But it's not the thing. It sounds like an oxymoron,
Right.
because it can become an idol and
Right.
the center of your focus.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
When, good God Almighty, you got to hear this, Pastor. When he released it, it was returned.
Mm.
The lesson of losing.
Mm.
We began to talk about scriptures and other things. It was not the center of our focus and getting work done. Without the glove, got a call and the glove was returned.
Wow. Wow.
When it was no longer the center of our focus,
Right.
we returned back to worship and work,
Right.
which is why we in our mind thought we needed a glove.
Yeah.
We still got things done without it. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see exactly what you're saying.
Today happened that my dad lost his earpiece. He lost it, I think, a day ago, and it was gone. So he had that hearing.
Right.
I said, "Where did you lose it?" Don't know. We think we lost it in the yard. Well, leaves have been falling.
Oh yeah.
And it's crazy in the yard, right? And the piece looks like a small, like a peanut, elongated, two peanuts put together, but dark.
Okay.
Like a dark leaf, like a tree branch, right? We're never going to find that.
Never find it out.
I say, well, listen, we can try different things. It's already paired with your phone. If you're in proximity and try to pair it, we know it's in that.
Right.
I was explaining how that works. He understood what I was saying. We got it. Trying to do it, man. He wasn't all the way off his square. We just had the glove incident.
Right, exactly.
Oh God, man. So now we're implementing the wisdom of the thing, although it's more pressing because it's not a gift.
Right.
It's giving you the gift of hearing, but it's exactly. You need it. Okay, we're gonna let that go. We started talking about scriptures and preaching and bettering ourselves in the word, and we were just doing some work.
Right.
Sitting there for a moment. He gets up and goes outside. He said the Holy Spirit told him to go here. He went to it and said that God took him. Are y'all hearing me? This was today, Reverend.
Brother.
Our focus shifted from the potential anxiety of the loss, and we went to lesson. He began to testify about, I'm trying to be better in this area. We left all of that, right? And in that, Holy Spirit speaks to him and he goes and finds it. The title tonight is The Lesson of Losing. It could be also the lesson in losing.
Yeah. Yeah. We could have led with that. Because that's so powerful in so many ways. Because is, man, see, a lot of times, man, I know that this is one thing that God that he has, for me. And we even said it last week. But a lot of times, man, when we're dealing with things, and maybe it's just me, but I think this is all of us, our prayer is kind of, God, keep me from this, or why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
Right. So I just lost my gloves found them, but these aren't that. This is
It got a
super
little deeper.
important, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's a perfect storm because there's no possible way for me to find it. And so I think a lot of us is like, God, why would you? What did I do? Did I not pay my tithe this week? What did I do to deserve this to befall me?
And I've been trying to do everything right. That was our conversation.
Right. And you kind of go back to your mind, like, where did I miss the mark?
We
right?
had all of that moment, brother.
And the thing is, your steps are being ordered. Why? Because it's a greater lesson for you to lose something in an impossible situation.
Impossible.
And the Holy Spirit come and lead you to it. Because now you've gleaned something greater about your relationship with God and yourself that you would have never gleaned had you not lost.
Correct. And you would have thought it been of your own merit.
Yep.
It had to be an impossible situation. It
had to be, man.
Isn't that so?
Man, the God we serve, man, he loves impossible.
And my dad came in singing and praising and worshiping, literally with a song on his heart. God is a good God. Yes, he got, and I harmonized with him. We sang about 4, 5 stanzas of the jank.
You should have. Wish I was there.
He literally was worshiping through the house. It was just an awesome time, bro. I'm trying to contain myself talking about it right now.
That's one of those things, man. That's one of those things, brother.
He kept saying, God, won't he do it? Didn't he do it? He just was just saying it.
Because he knows who did it. He knows who did it. He knows who did it.
I hope that's blessing y'all like it did me, man.
Ready to send my offering.
And so that's the part about controlling and manipulative. He couldn't control that. And it had to be out of his control so his focus could return to the Creator. Watch this. Jesus is a gift. You see how this is about to tie up?
Come on.
John 3:16. Let's read.
We're in the season.
Let's read.
You know it.
Advent. So it reads thus, and some people know it, but this is Bible study, so I'm reading for the sake of it being Bible study. Right. For God so loved the world that he became a giver more and gave his only begotten son. So this validates my statement. Jesus was a gift.
Yep.
Because God gave him.
Mm-hmm.
It proves that he was. John 3:16 does. So now what did they is you. We talked about that before, all right? Don't just trust God for the big things. Trust him for the small things too. Yes, exactly. My dad's saying that. Yes, yep. Absolutely. Yep. So now what did they do to him? To the gift. We're going back to saying the gift is already given.
Mm-hmm.
The receiver can do whatever they want. It's a gift.
Right.
You hope that they treat the gift or do with it what the intention is. Mm-hmm. But it's not your call or responsibility and out of your control.
Right.
If God allows us the space and grace to make our own choice concerning his gifts to us, how is it that we feel we have a right or a place to control what is done with the gift that we give?
Wow.
There is something controlling and manipulative about that.
Yep.
What say you?
Well said. I don't know how to say it.
So this is my last point. I had a couple more, but Jesus came, right? It was a gift, and then he left us.
Right.
The glove was given. It was here.
Right.
Then it left.
Right.
The earpiece, he had it. It wasn't a gift. It was necessary.
Right.
But he lost it. It was gone.
Right.
Right. He left us. We, quote, lost him. Mm-hmm. But the lesson is that he is coming back, like the glove, like the earpiece. It's in our focus. Come on, somebody. I'm done.
Somebody should have gave that man a hammy.
And he left a comforter until that time when he does return.
Exactly. Exactly.
So all is not yet lost, but all is there to be gained.
Yep.
I'm done.
Man, the analogy was excellent. I love Kit Kat's point, and that he did it for the glove, right? He brought the glove
Right.
back, and he was definitely going to do it for the hair. Like the glove was almost a setup
The for that thing
for the
because it was
hair.
more intimate and more necessary. The glove
Right,
wasn't necessary. It
right.
was the sentiment,
The sense, right,
right?
right.
The earpiece is necessary for living. Like Aunt Ruth said, living is the point.
Yeah, living is winning,
So
is what she
so
said. Yeah,
living is winning. So we
right.
need that to help to continue to live better and prosperous. So that's necessity.
Yeah, man.
I'm done. That
Nah,
I was trying to get you all to see it, and God just orchestrated those things. So I was being practical and tangible. We're blessed by the testimony of others. So I was trying to invite you into that
no, the
space.
testimony blessed me for sure. Because I've had some of those moments where it's like you find yourself again, um, and I think in a good way. You check yourself. You're trying to find out, well, Lord, what did I do?
Mhm.
Did I do something?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
why am I dealing with this?
Yeah.
What is the lesson
What is
in this loss that I just took? Or a lot of times I use the word seemingly, because a lot of times it feels like we're losing. It seems like we're
There's
losing.
the feelings.
God is like, nah, you just don't understand. You don't see. You can't see as far as I can.
Right.
And I'm setting you up for something beyond your expectation, beyond what you can understand. You just got to continue to trust me in and watch me take you through.
That part.
And the story of Job is a great foundational piece. We kind of just scratched the surface of,
Yeah, I didn't even get
right.
into the.
We said it's gonna
I'm gonna
probably be
read
a
another.
series.
Yeah, we said
But
we need this.
it's
We need
such
to do that.
it's such a great, kind of, foundational piece. Because the book is 40 plus chapters. Well, if Job did everything right after chapter 1, it's only going to be two. It's going to be two. It's 2 chapters, right? The story over. It doesn't work. You have to kind of go through the process
There's more
with
things,
him,
yes.
all of what happens, and then it's like, okay,
yes,
boom.
I just touched a little bit on it.
Yeah.
You can't even imagine. And we stopped. This is ironic because we call those things the worst. We said that.
Yeah, we sure did.
But it is not.
Nah,
but it was for the sake of that portion of lesson right there. And we said, man, what about your words? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
yeah.
When the person you love leaves your position and charges you to leave it, tries to encourage you. His wife said some things that were outside of his position and posture. Man, he had a choice. So now what?
Yep.
Basically, her words were, so now what?
Yeah.
Right?
So now what? You don't really have one option.
But I give you this is what you should do.
Yep.
Oh, man. Yep. This is a good lesson for me, man.
Excellent. Exactly.
Proves that all is vanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. All of it. Right. It doesn't even matter anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
We give too much license to it and too much credibility. Like it becomes idol.
Yeah.
Things. Yep. Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm done, man.
I mean, a great lesson, man. I'm done too. I hope that y'all were as blessed as I was. I'm so glad Pastor got his his hearing things back, right. and his gloves.
Yeah.
I know how that is, man. Like it's when you were talking about the gloves, it reminded me of I don't know when or how I kind of started wearing like crazy socks or whatever. My socks are really boring today.
Yeah.
But you see, I like that, Sylvester. But some kind of way, like it's been 10, 15 years. I wear these socks, and my sons seem to love to invade my sock drawer.
I've seen it.
And I'm like, man, they're not your socks, man. And some socks mean a little bit more to me than others. Right. Like I have a friend who passed away, and the last thing that she gave me before she did, she gave me this pack of socks. And now and then I think about her, and I just put them on. Some on ratter, tatter. I just, it's whatever, right?
Mind your business,
right. It's not, I don't care.
Right.
But then there are some socks, like like my daughters have gifted me some things, and somebody came to me and said, can I have that? And I said, absolutely not. I'll buy you one, but you can't have this one, right, because they gave me this one. about this one, but it's about them giving it to me.
Right.
I'll buy you two, but you can't get this one.
Yeah.
And that's how we are, I think, with things,
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with me having sentimental thoughts about something my children have given me. It's
Right.
precious to me.
Yes.
But the reality is that it's not the thing that's precious, it's them that's precious, and what God wants to do for us is he wants to give us the things. He says it. There's nothing wrong
Yes.
with things.
Right.
All these things will be added, but you got to
Mhm.
deal with the first part. Seek
Seek
ye
ye
first. And the reason why,
Man, seek ye
the
first.
reason why these things will come to you is when you have those relationships like you have with your father. Those, he can depend on certain things. You can depend on certain things that's going to come to you because that relationship is intact.
Yeah.
And
Seek ye first. That's so good, man.
Yeah.
Seek ye first. And here's the thing: if you are seeking that first, they will be added. But what are you seeking? Don't be seeking because
no, don't seek the things, right?
Because they will be added.
Right.
Right.
I don't do stuff for my daughters because I hope they're gonna buy me some socks.
Man.
they don't buy me socks because they hope I'm gonna do stuff for them.
Right.
It's a seeking, in the relationship.
Yes.
And then the socks, if you will,
are added.
Are added. That's the gravy.
Added,
right. That's the gravy.
Right.
That's the gravy.
Yeah.
First Lady Williams, stay out of my sock drawer and don't be telling people I have too many socks.
Right.
Because I don't. But every time, again, I was about to say this, every time my son's kidnapped some, somebody else gives me some more.
To replace.
Right. It just happens like that.
See that?
Somebody saved me or somebody, and so it's very interesting, just, and socks, okay, they're very trivial, but the point is, you don't lose.
You don't lose.
When you're connected to the Almighty, you don't lose.
And it's a matter of perspective. That's what ultimately I was getting at. The lesson in losing is that it's about learning.
Yep.
And so that is dealt with perspective.
Yep.
Ruth asked a question earlier, and it said, I think, is losing an illusion? And I think it's a matter of perspective. So I don't think that it is an illusion, but it is a matter of perspective. Because losing is very real.
Yeah.
You either win or lose. That's tangible. That's a real thing.
Yep.
But it's a matter of perspective, and the degrees of it are rest on your perspective, how you are looking at it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
How you look at it.
So I choose to not ever take a loss. We've been dealing lately with words and the power of them on TNT. So no, I'm not doing any losing. I'm not even saying good morning because we're not mourning. I say that today on the phone. I'm not mourning. You're not mourning. And immediately we changed the vernacular. You know what I mean? And it's an encouraging, holding each other accountable and learning how to be better at being better. So yeah, that comes also with a matter of perspective.
Yep.
Yeah, no losses, only learnings.
Only learnings.
Only learnings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Job is a good template for that.
It is.
And man, we can do a continuation of the
man.
Of the
like you
Job.
said, because
we're going to get to Paul. People that kind of what we would say is took a loss.
Yeah.
Here's a man who had everything essentially as well. Great job. He was nasty with it, but great status.
Yeah.
And took it.
Exactly. Yep. We're gonna get to it.
All right. The lesson in learning. I'm done, man. Like people still booming in and
I'm
coming.
done. My wife says we need a part 2, so we'll be here same time, same place next week.
So the lesson of learning, part 2, continuation of Job, because there's some other meaty things in there that we need to do.
Yeah, we got to.
And just know that today wasn't the worst up until now.
Nah.
Job losing his children, like he lost all his property, the assets, which is like the livestock and stuff, and his children.
Story. It's 40 more chapters, people.
Golly.
It's 40 more chapters.
So just imagine that.
Right.
And do yourself a favor, like First Lady, and go and read.
Yeah.
Read it so we could be up on it.
Yep.
Man, he lost that much. Having at the end of that first chapter, though, he did not, after losing his position, he did not lose his posture. His position changed, but his posture did not. Man, and that's powerful. That's what I want to leave you all with.
There it is.
Yeah. All is vanity. Yeah. My dad he's that's his thing right there.
Yeah.
And it is.
That's good.
And it kind of encourages himself as well as everyone else, all of it. So we make sure we don't make it our idol or our continued focus. You know what I mean? Because you have things, you acquire things, but it means nothing.
Exactly.
And so what? So now what?
So now what?
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Kit Kat. Love your comments tonight.
Yeah.
Yep.
He don't lose his life.
He didn't lose his life.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
40 more chapters.
You don't read that. We'll see y'all on it next week.
Thank y'all next week. Thank y'all so much. We love y'all.
Yeah.
Congratulations to this GOAT friend of mine.
Thank you.
And his award. Many more to come.
Yeah,
I prophesy.
Hey, I like it. Director / producer of film of the year.
It's awesome, man.
So I thought it was filmmaker of the year, but that was another category specifically for filmmaker of the year. And we had a chance to talk today. So that was good. And make an acquaintance. The lady called, Latrice called and connected us directly today. And that was really good. He has some things coming down the pipe, very exciting. And was saying he wanted me to be a part of it. He enjoyed my speech and my, yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Pastor. We appreciate y'all. Sorry I didn't shout out everybody on Facebook today.
We just kind of went in it.
Phone was different, but it's all good. We love y'all.
Yes. Thank y'all for coming. God bless you. Good night.
Good night.
Do something nice for somebody. Oh, don't forget to follow us and like, share, subscribe this video, and like and share and subscribe to all our podcasts. If that's your thing. If it's not your thing, try it out. You might like it. You can sit and listen in the car. You can listen while you're doing work around the house and listen to the words of TNT. Faith come by
hearing,
and hearing by the
word of God.
And we like to do that here on TNT. We love you. Appreciate you. Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and such. Literally, you can just kind of go online and Google TNT Sessions Podcast, and they should pop up. So,
yep. Awesome.
Yes. We love you guys. All right. Boom out. Boom. 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 Patreon coming soon.